Entity A is following entity B. Entity B steps onto a teleporter and is removed from the universe. Now entity A, for some reason, is following entity C. Why does this happen, and how can we fix it? Let's find out. Alright, let's have a look at code that we're about to run. It's very simple. We've got an entity here. It's got a name, a position, whether it's following another entity, and it's got a color. We've got a movement speed for the entities. We've got the entities stored in a dynamic array, which is the same as a C++ vector. And we've got a simple function here that just appends to this array and returns a pointer to us so we can use it later. Now down here, we're creating two entities, A and B. We're setting A to follow entity B, and then we're being able to move entity B down here. This is some movement code, so we check the movement keys. And then down here, we can press spacebar to spawn another entity called entity C. It's going to be green. And the follow behavior, get the direction, move the entity, and we draw the entities down here. So that's really all we need to cover in the code. But let's have a look at what happens. Okay, here we are. Entity A is following entity B, moving around. And I start spawning entities. Entity C, there we go. There's a couple more. More guys spawn. More guys spawn. Oh no, it's broken. I'm now controlling entity A, but not really, but sort of. It's trying to go back to the top left corner, but I can kind of control it for a little bit. Yeah, anyway, this is a memory corruption issue. And the reason is the pointers are not stable. So if we look back at the code here, we've got our dynamic array of entities, which usually starts at some size like 8 or 16, depending on the language and the implementation and all that. So it'll start at a small number of slots available, and then as you add to it, you append, it's going to increase the size, but it can't just increase in place. Usually it'll reallocate and you'll get a new spot in memory, which means these pointers that we created up here are now going to be invalid because they're kept over the threshold that we used to create the entity C here. So entity C's were created and we have these stale pointers. Now let's look at a way that we might solve this. I'm going to move over to handles 2. Here we go. So now rather than returning a pointer, we're going to return an integer, which is an index into the array. We can just set the following field on the entity as well to an integer, and we can have it be -1 if nothing is following anything else. And then we can just define that here. If the following is -1, the following is -1 if we don't pass one in, otherwise it's whatever we passed in, and we just return the index instead of a pointer. Now we use entity get, which is something new that we need here, to make sure that we actually can get the data from the array. So if we pass in an invalid index, whether it's too large or below 0, then we're going to return null and it's not okay. Otherwise we're going to return a pointer and okay. Same for destroy. We can't destroy an invalid entity, but if the entity is valid, we're going to do an unordered remove here to just remove it from the array. And same kind of setup here, but now we've got the teleporter. This is the example that you saw at the start. And we've also got entity C, which is actually just sitting here this time, so we're not making a new one. So let's have a look at how this works. You did already see it, but let's just see it again. So we're moving on to this teleporter. We're going to get removed from the universe. Bam. And now entity A is following entity C. We can also make more entities, which doesn't help things. So that's definitely not what we want. We want entity A to just stop moving, right? So the problem this time is a little bit different. The problem this time is that we used unordered remove, which swaps the last element with the element that was just removed. So it's a quick way to remove something from an array. It's very common for people to use this in game programming. And a lot of the time it doesn't matter. But in this case, when we're using the integer ID as in the index to refer to something, if we can't move that around. So we have to keep it stable. That brings me on to handles 3. So if we have a look here, we've got the entity struct and we've added a field isDead, which is just a Boolean. So now we can check, okay, we're going to get this entity. If it's dead, we can reuse the slot. If it's destroyed, we can just set the isDead to true. And then when we're getting an entity, if the entity is dead, we return null and not okay. So that's a way to make sure that when an entity dies, we don't accidentally reuse the dead entity. So let's have a look at this and see how it works. Okay, handles 3 looks pretty much the same. We've got A, we've got B, we've got a teleporter. I'm going to walk B onto the teleporter and we'll see what happens. Bam. Okay, A stopped moving. B is now dead. The teleporter is still sitting there, that's fine. But now what happens when I press space and we add entity C back into the mix? Uh-oh, we reuse the slot, and A couldn't understand that that is not the same entity. So we'd have to either, whenever an entity dies, iterate through all the other entities, see if they are following the entity that just died, and then change their is following to null. Could be expensive. It's also error prone. I've got a better approach. So let's walk through the better approach. That brings me to handles 4. Now, obviously we were building up to handles. That was the solution. It's in the name. But what is a handle? Well, a handle can be anything you want really, but in our case, we're going to store an ID, which is just an index, into the array, and a generation, which I'll explain shortly. And then on the entity, we're also going to have a generation, and we're going to have an isDead flag. It's going to stay there as well. So everything remains the same, except instead of returning an integer when we create an entity, we're going to return an entity handle. And the handle is going to be constructed from the index, which is here, the ID, and the generation of the entity as it is now. And you can see right here, we actually increment the generation. So when we create an entity, we increase the generation by 1. And that means, well, you know what? Let's just run it first and have a look. So handles 4, here we go. A is following B steps onto a teleporter, is removed from the universe. Now we can see B is here dead, but its generation is 1. And if we press space, C spawns. A is not following C. Why not? Well, it's because the generation is different. So let's have a look at the code again. So when we're following an entity now, we store an entity handle. And since an entity handle holds both an ID, which is the index, and the generation, which is this number that increases every time an entity is created in this slot, then the generation invalidates the handle when something is reused, when a slot is reused. So when C was created, the generation would then be 2, right? And so the handle that A is holding onto, which is here, entity B's handle, would have a generation of 1. And therefore, when we get the entity using the handle, which has to match the generation and the index, well, it's not the same entity. And we can tell that now because of just of this generation variable. Very handy thing to have. So now we can keep our dynamic entities. We don't have to make it static. We don't have to make it a known size if we don't want to. And we get stable indexing. And there's no way to accidentally keep a stale handle to the wrong entity and then start clobbering data into random parts of your program or whatever. It's just not possible anymore. So this is a really good pattern, dare I say the word pattern, to get into your brain to use in different systems so that you always have the fresh data and you don't have memory corruption issues, which can be a real pain to track down. So the example that I gave is actually from, I think it's Jonathan Blow talks about this example in one of his videos or one of the clips that's floating around. So I just thought I'd use the same example, but this is how you'd actually implement it in code, or one way anyway. And if you want to see it used in a library that I made for animations, I'll put the link to that at the end of this video, assuming that it's out. If it's not out yet, it won't be there, but it should be there soon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.